I'm still watching the Shamba. That was a good fucking game. If you didn't see the playthrough of 10 Dead Doves, I would highly recommend checking that out. That shit was... That's gonna be one of the better indie games of the year already, I can tell. It seems like that happens a lot. I feel like every fucking year... I'm pretty sure we did Fear and Hunger in like February. Shipwrecked was really early in the year last year. Worm Game and Doomwad were before summer. It's like the indie spring fiesta, like every fucking year. The best shit is in around the first 4 months. So realistically, you should only watch the first 4 months of the stream and then forget that it exists for 8 months and then come back. Miss Tolo's ship Reek arc? Well, there'll be something new eventually. There are only so many fucking amazing video games that come out like that people don't know about. But I think that if you're a fan of narrative games, 10 Dead Doves was pretty good. I'm thinking about playing through it again off stream so we can watch the other ending on stream at some point, but we'll see. I have like a lot of video. I need to play Mouthwashing next. I need to finally play that game. Started goofy a little bit. Well, I thought it was just going to be a goofy slapstick thing throughout the entirety of it. So, goofiness was also serious. Yeah, like, you can't be like... Personally, there were some people... last night saying 10 Dead Doves was pretentious. For me, everyone has like a different definition of pretentious or like different criteria. But for me, it's something that is unrelentingly serious the entire way through and can't have even a little bit of reprieve from the warpath of like, you will take this seriously, you will fucking, like that kind of shit. Even something like Skinkamarink, which was pretty pretentious in that regard, had like the jump scare with the phone. That's like, that's kind of funny, you know? Totally disregarded as a negative nowadays. I love pretentious stuff. I mean, that's fair, but I don't know, we had someone in here saying that they disregard anything, any conversation where the word nuance enters the arena, which I thought that was fascinating. I've never seen anyone say something like that before, but more power to them. I don't like pretentious games. That's why I love Vitas so much. Every once in a while there's a comment in the twitch.television chat where I need to just like listen to the wind outside to ground myself and remember that this is a real place. The people are real, the things that are said are real, and if I want, I can simply leave and go outside. What timing for me to show up and to try to state this unique and that it was pretentious? Well, I'm not talking about just you. You were definitely not the only person who said that. Appear to be no, I didn't take it that way. You're allowed to say something is pretentious. Like, just because I'll vocally disagree with things doesn't mean I've, like, taken personal umbrage with something you've said. You're allowed to not like games. The thing that pisses me off specifically is when people are, like, won't even give it a chance. Like, if you watch something for, like, 30 minutes and think this is pretentious, that's fine. It's completely fine. But there have been a lot of games where people just immediately discount it in the first 5 minutes, and then they stay for a little longer, and it's like, yeah, this is Kino. This is really fucking good. If you're not, no, that's not true. That's not true. I actually was the one who, I remember asking Fear and Hunger. I asked chat specifically during the Giraffe Town stream. I think you guys probably wouldn't like this. It's a turn-based RPG. I don't think this is up your alley, but I figured I'd show it to you guys in case you want me to play it anyways. And chat told me they did want to play it. So I don't think that actually happened with Fear and Hunger. I'm sure there were people who said no, but during playing it, like, there wasn't that much negative reception. There were some people who were like, it's just shock bullshit, and this game sucks, but whatever. Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass was turn-based. Well, that was after Fear and Hunger. I think maybe this weekend we'll be diving back into Fear and Hunger with that mod I've been dangling over people's heads. Maybe. But I do want to play that. It looks fucking stupid. So, might be time to return. To the Dungeons of Hunger. I have a feeling in my loins that there's a Fear and Hunger 2 update on the horizon, so I have been meaning to get back to it and play it off stream so I can get a little better at the game. And during that, I can see if the crashing is still an issue. So, because I didn't really get the chance to play as much of Fear and Hunger 2 as I would have liked. I didn't really ever get to a level of being adept at the game like I did with the first one. Do you like Funger 1 or 2 more? We need to abolish the Funger thing. It's F and H to me, or just Fear and Hunger. That's a tough question because, like, it's really hard for me to have an objective stance on this because my playthrough of 2 was marred by so many things that were not related to the actual game. And regrettably, I'm someone who really tends to associate how much I like games based off of my general mood outside of the game. Like, so for example, like, you know what I associate Mario Kart 64 with, my parents screaming that they want a divorce in the background. So when I play Mario Kart 64, even if I'm not consciously thinking about it, it's not like I'm stun locked and I can't think about anything else, but like a part of me has that association. I think that the first Fear and Hunger, that period of time with the streams, was probably my apex with the whole streaming thing. I think that's when I was at the top of my game. But so I just have like very positive feelings with Fear and Hunger 1, but a lot of very negative shit was happening during Termina that was not related to the game whatsoever. So it's just, I wish that I didn't have that aspect, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to people when I say it. I guess like some people do that with music or television shows, but I primarily do that with video games. So, and it's not that I have a bad opinion. Like, it wasn't like I had a bad time playing that game, but I think I'm biased towards Fear and Hunger 1 because of that. The game experience was fucking rough too, because the crashes. That's what I mean. Like the crashes, the fucking myriad of bullshit happening with like the Fear and Hunger Discord drama. I had another fucking personal drama happening at the same time that was very, probably the worst thing that's happened to me in like the last 5 years. So just not a good storm. It was like a cavalcade of unfortunate circumstances. But outside of that, I'm not really sure. I think I still am going to give the answer I gave all the way back when I played it for the first time. So a perspective that I have that perhaps a lot of the new Fear and Hunger community won't have is I was there. I was there on the ground floor. I played that game before Sylvian was a boss. I played that game before the dinosaur area existed. I played that game before the Eastern Ghost existed. I played that game when you could throw knives at NPCs and kill them in one hit if you aim for their head. I played that game primarily when it was at a base state that was a lot rougher around the edges than the product that we have now that's been updated 700 times. One of the funniest comments that I've ever fucking gotten on the VOD channel is someone's like, this guy's played this much of the game and he doesn't even know about the double coin toss, but he was a moron because like it wasn't even a thing back then. It didn't exist. It was added so that Zoomers could beat the game and not complain as much. Like, I'm sorry, but it's true. So I don't think he's doing at least one gigantic update to Fear and Hunger 2. So I would say the base state of Fear and Hunger 2 is probably better than the base state of Fear and Hunger 1. But Fear and Hunger 1 has been updated a billion times and is more polished, more balanced, more complete of an experience, and I feel like it's an injustice to compare that version to a version of Termina that isn't fully fleshed out yet. Does that make sense? So I really don't know. I don't really have an actual answer for that yet. First one, I like the first one much better because the horror elements and the uncanny feelings are much stronger in the first one. I can see that. But at the same time, I don't think there was anything as intensely distressing as the apartment segments of Termina with that horrible background noise / OST. Like when you crawl into the washing machine and there's the horrible background stuff. There's a lot less like, holy shit, I'm getting fucked in the ass without consent kind of horror. But, I don't know. Redman was much scarier than the apartment. Redman was pretty frightening, yeah. Termina more because the lore and the character narrative, like the Doctor. Termina feels like the horror has been more refined and less reliant on shock value. See, at the risk of sounding pretentious, I feel like it's been dulled to appeal to a broader audience. To an extent. But I don't think it suffers necessarily because of it. So it's just two sides of the same coin, right? It's like a coin flip. Now, we need to explore Ludo narrative and how this factors into the double coin flip. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know what a ludonarrative dissonance is, admittedly. A bit more real in a lot of its character stuff, so I think there's a bit of give and take. I think the theme of being in a more advanced technological period of time is not as appealing for me. I like the setting of the first game better, definitely. But there were a few things in Termina that were teased at that I think were immensely compelling, particularly like with the updates. If there's one thing I hope gets expanded on, it's the nature of the bunker, where there's like fucking like gigantic god statues / corpses in the background, and that area seems like it should have been fleshed out a lot more than it was in Termina. Like, I hope they really expand on the ending portion of that game way more. So I think that particular part of the game where it was like a World War II bunker juxtaposed with all of this crazy shit sold me on the time period for that game, but there needed to be more of it. Does that make sense? And I hope there will be more of it, because sometimes you gotta sell the audience on a setting, and I think he did a really good job of that for the most part. Like, if the other example I can think of, can you believe there was a time where I saw this shitty fucking trailer that I thought was going to be the death knell for a video game series that I liked, and it was called Project Beast. What was Project Beast, you may ask? Well, that was Bloodborne. That was the trailer for Project Beast, Bloodborne, leaks, whatever the fuck you want to say, where it looked like it was all going to be werewolves and vampires. And I hate that setting. I do not like werewolves and vampires at all. And I was like, oh god, this is going to be dog shit. This is gonna be so fucking stupid. I cannot stand this. But back then, this was like in 2014, so I felt like there was a lot more like vampire bullshit back then than there is now. We were still recovering a little bit from the Twilight pilled horse girls. But I fucking love Bloodborne. I think it's genuinely one of the best video games ever made. They sold me on it, and it's because they did such a good fucking job of hiding the fact that it was gonna be about crazy alien Lovecraft shit. So it came as a complete surprise that I went in thinking it was just going to be all about werewolves. And it really fucking wasn't at all. Like, yeah, there were werewolves and vampires in it, but those were kind of like a symptom of what was actually happening. Vampires and werewolves, well, they were done in a way that I thought was interesting in the sense that, like, the blood of all of this eldritch shit gave rise to, like, men turn beast, and it was just... I don't know. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Vampires are cut content. Well, I mean, Canehurst Castle's basically vampires. Let's be real. So I'm willing to give things a chance, even if it starts out being something I may not like. Another example of that, I fucking love Stardew Valley. I think that game is unmitigated Kino all the way through. And I remember when that game first came out, I was like, wow, I really don't think I'm going to like this. But then I remembered I like fishing in Animal Crossing. Let me give it a try. And holy fuck, dude. Like... It's so good. Weed growing mods go hard in that. Dude, the fishing mods, like the aquarium in particular, where it adds like 200 fish and you get like a storyline with the aquarium. And there's like super rare secret fish. One of my favorite gaming memories was there was a period of time where me, my sister, and Autumn had a modded Stardew server. And there's this fucked up forest fish called the La. There's two of them actually. There's the La and the Tui. Not to be confused with the Hawk Tui. And this thing is absurdly difficult to catch without like fishing food buffs. It puts the legend to shame. It's disgusting. And it only appears for a couple hours in the secret pond at night. And so basically you have to overextend yourself and fucking risk being out all night and dying to have enough time to catch the fish. And there was one night where me and my sister had successfully wrangled the fish into submission. I was the first, of course. But Autumn had it on the line at like 1:50 a.m. And I was like, oh my god, this is where the Stardew gaming sessions are going to fall apart. She's going to feel like it's a personal failing that she didn't get it. And we did. And a fun fact about Stardew is when you're fishing at 1:50 a.m., it goes into overtime. It doesn't kick you out until the last person is done fishing. So me and my sister sat here watching my wife fight this fish for like 10 fucking minutes, it felt like. And she eventually emerged victorious and wrangled the fish into submission. And then we all passed out and died and lost a ton of shit. Because it was like there was not enough time to go back, but we stayed there to give her support. And it was worth it. It was absolutely worth it. It was a great gaming memory. I think that was during the horrible winter storm where it was like knocking the power and shit off too, and there like everyone was dying. So good times. Tolo bingo rule 34. There's no rule 34. Although Lost Tolo lore is that there was a erotica fan fiction of the gay variety of me and another streamer back in like 2016. And I know you already know it's a foregone conclusion, but yes, I was the top. I'm very proud about that to this day. So even the deranged little fucking weirdos who write those sorts of things recognize my authority.